It is Clean Sport Week in the UK. Senior reporter Geraint Hughes has been having a look at some of the issues surrounding anti-doping as we get closer to this summer's Olympics. Geraint, good to talk to you. You've been speaking to the Chief Executive of UK Anti-Doping, Jane Rumble. There's a number of issues in and around doping at the moment. High-profile positive tests. The likes of Paul Pogba have been in the headlines. A number of tennis players as well, including Simona Halep, where there have been concerns about the athlete's well-being, I guess, after being charged. What has Jane Rumble had to say about this? Yeah, it was a really fascinating chat because to speak to the head of an agency like that, which is one of the major agencies globally, it is a rare thing. And just to listen and sort of learn and see what she does in her role and see what's going on, especially, as you say, it's been a busy year of sport. We've got the Olympics coming, we've got the Euros coming as well. You mentioned there are a number of high-profile cases. Paul Pogba, Simona Halep, the former Wimbledon champion, they're doping failures. They didn't come under the jurisdiction of UKAD, but it was interesting what we were talking about, the well-being of athletes. What did Pogba and Halep both have in common? They're completely protesting their innocence, that they don't understand why they have failed a doping test. Paul Pogba failed his test, last September. He's now serving a 4-year ban. He's adamantly saying, I am not a cheat. I have never knowingly taken something. Simona Halep, the same as well. It was an anti-collagen project, a substance, which went to appeal. They found probably the likelihood that it was contaminated and she didn't knowingly take it. So a 4-year ban for her, taken through to 9. But they've both been through significant stress. And I think the point of what Jane Rumble was trying to say is they're having a strategic refresh. And it's going to be athlete first, whether that's about education, testing, the methods used, getting the knowledge into the athletes and their coaches, but also if an athlete were to fail a test, receive a charge, be conscious, be mindful of their well-being. It doesn't stop there. You just can't cast them aside. We cited those examples there. That could happen and has happened with British athletes as well in the UK anti-doping system as well. So really fascinating to hear how they're having this shift to athlete first. Let's hear what Jane Rumble had told me about that.
Overall, what's making us evolve and put athlete first principle into our strategy is that we're here to serve clean athletes. They're dedicating their lives to their performance. And so we are here to make sure that the process works effectively. And hearing from athletes within the UK who may have found it very difficult to navigate that situation when there is a charge, then we want to do more in order to be able to support them. But what I'd also say is this is about a whole team of people supporting athletes. So the athlete support personnel have a responsibility, parents have a responsibility, and the national governing body as well. So all together we can work to provide that support for athletes, because the rules are that they are strictly liable for everything that goes into their bodies. But they need the support through education from us and also from their entourage to make sure that they fully understand how to abide by the rules and that those rules are applied.
And Geraint, another one of the things you've been talking about is this significant advancement in testing. Explain what has been happening there. Now,
this was and could be crucial. This feels like almost like a revolution that's been happening, because when you think of anti-doping, you'll think, right, how do they take from an athlete? Well, it's either a urine sample or a blood sample, taken out into a vial. There is a new system, dry blood spot testing, which is coming. It is kind of revolutionising things because of cost, but efficiency as well. And when I was talking to Jane Rumble about it as well, the example she uses, they can go into a club, whether it's a football club, rugby club, cricket club, whatever, where you've got a squad of players, male or female, but it's large numbers. But you can test them all within half an hour. You can get the job done. So this seems like a revolution in terms of you want to keep your costs down, you want to make it efficient, you don't want to get in the way, you want it to make it easy for the athlete first as well. This really seems like a little bit of a game changer. It's called dry blood spot testing. This is what Jane Rumble told me about that.
Dry blood spot testing is a very quick way in which you can take a small, like a pin drop, sample of blood from an athlete, whereas usually we would be taking a lot more blood or we would be taking urine. So this is a way of being able to take a pinprick. So you kind of slap a little like device on someone's arm if they're comfortable that we can take blood from their arm, and it's over in a matter of seconds. And it also means that we can take samples from more than one person. We could take samples from a squad, for example, and so that means that we can be much more efficient in getting that blood sample and then getting it analysed. So it's cost effective, but it also means you can test more people.
And of course, we are coming to the end of the football season.
Yeah.
The Euros are fast approaching. You alluded to it there, thousands of footballers are tested, but in the UK, comparatively few positive results.
Yeah, I spoke with Jane about this for the reason is it's UK anti-doping. What is the most popular sport in terms of participation? It's incomparable. It's football. More people play football than any other sport that consume it as well. You've got boys, girls, men and women playing, several times a week. But we hear relatively few, or boring people like me aren't popping up, actually saying, well, footballer A or footballer B has failed a doping test. You rarely hear about it. So I wanted to ask Jane, why is that? Not the answer I expected, actually, is because, this. Obviously, when it comes to to behind the scenes, off the field of football, we're often sort of looking for criticisms within football, things where it can't working. Jane Rumble would surprise me a little bit by saying that not just from UK anti-doping's point of view, but from the FA example, who are very much heavily involved in this, she called it best in class. I think the best thing is just to hear what Jane Rumble told me when I asked about this, why there's so few sort of doping failures when it comes to football.
There's a lot of work that goes into football, working together with the FA to make sure that athletes are effectively educated, but also the testing programme is, I'd say, best in class, both working from our own resources and investing in testing of athletes in football, footballers, but also the FA as well. So we work together with them to deliver an excellent testing programme, which gives us confidence that, combined with the education, that football is in a good place.
So it was, a fascinating chat. We're going to have more on skysports.com later on as well about this. Plus, I'll probably be coming to see you a bit later on as well about that. Interesting year ahead as well, because as I mentioned there, big, long football season, Euros coming, Olympics. I asked her about sort of kind of what will be the stresses and strains with an Olympic year coming up, because anti-doping always seems to play a huge part in an Olympics and a Paralympics. She described it as being exciting. I think that's another word for very, very busy.